Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Baldwin Park Planning Commission for May 28th, 2025 at 7:01. If you're able to, please stand for the flag salute. Place your hand over our heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty. Thank you. Planning Secretary, will you do roll call, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
Chair Pena,
Present.
Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Present.
Commissioner Escobosa,
Present.
Commissioner Miranda DeZib,
Present.
and let the record reflect that Commissioner Rodriguez is absent.
And do I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Rodriguez?
I'll motion to excuse Commissioner Rodriguez. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Chair Pena,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Escobosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Miranda DeZib.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I now declare verbal communications open. Anyone wishing to address the commission on anything other than the items listed on the agenda may come to the podium. Please take a number and we will address speakers in numerical order. We will be restricting your comments to 3 minutes as a reminder. Once you reach the podium, if you can just state your name and then the timer will begin. Do we have anyone?
Mr. Chair, we have 3 speaker cards, the first of which is Gabrielle Alba.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Gabriella. I am a resident of Bassett, but I grew up kind of like on the border of Bassett and Baldwin Park, so honorary resident of Baldwin Park. I was raised going to like Morgan Park, where like they used to have that pool, and so I grew up going back and forth in the community. So I just am here to advocate against the rezoning of Flanner Elementary. So I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but the Bassett Unified School District is working on rezoning that land for more than 100 condos. And that area, that side of Bassett is very park scarce. And so I think like that's a very unique space for a third space that the community is currently missing. There's a lot of issues with like our youth not really having much resources or things to do in the summer. And I think that space would be better proportioned for a recreational space or a third space, something that kind of supports the community. There's also been issues raised of like that, just that particular location, the street is just very narrow. And there's a lot of concerns about that from residents who live on that side. And so I would ask the commission if possible, if we could look into maybe like a traffic study to truly see the repercussions of the, the consequences that might come up from this decision before like deciding to rezone that land. So thank you for listening to me today.
Thank you for your time. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Wynetta Whitley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To the commissioner and everybody's here. I'm Wynetta Whitley. I'm also here regarding the Florence Flanner zoning. I know every time I come, it seems like I'm preaching, but that's okay too. We need your help. We would like to use this space for the public. We need this for our children. We need it for the community. We don't need condos and villas there. If we could stop the zoning where property managements that's trying to get the zoning, and let's keep it for the public. Well, we have, at least me, I'm gonna get where I can't do nothing. There's nowhere to go. We could get a senior places there where we could go. We could get recreation for the children. We could have a lot of things if we could get it there. Not only just saying a park. That's what this here. We need you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Yolanda Pampa.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Yolanda and I live on the Millbury Avenue, the street that's going to be most impacted. I'm here today to let you know that our neighbors are not for this build, and we're here today to ask you to work with Bassett community to stop Storm property that want to build 105 condos or villas. Our community would love to see a park, a community center, or even an education center for our children. Please keep Bassett community and homeowners in your thoughts when the proposal comes to you guys. Let's say no to Storm property, and thank you for your time, please.
Thank you for your time. Next speaker.
There are no additional speaker cards, but there may be additional speakers
Sure.
in the audience.
Anyone else wishing to address the commission at this point? If you can also state your name. Of course.
Good afternoon. My name is Jorge Del Real. Thank you for your time. Here once again, just to stand strong. We're still against the storm properties. I know the project hasn't come to your hands, but I do ask you that when it does, please reject it, do something else. There's 100 other possibilities other than condos. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours. Again, if you don't mind stating your name.
Sure thing. Good evening. My
evening.
name is Miguel Zuniga. I am a resident of Bassett. I was here last week, in which I went over the same topic that I'm going to go over with you all. So once again, I am here in front of you to reaffirm my strong opposition to the proposed rezoning of the Flander property. And the concerns remain unresolved. I believe they warrant even deeper consideration before any decision is made. Let me be clear, this is not simply about opposition to development. It's about protecting the safety of our community. And so with that being said, I would greatly appreciate all you to support and to consider potentially conducting a traffic test so that we can truly reassess what implications this may result in. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for yours. Anyone else wishing to speak before we close the verbal communications? Seeing no further interest, I now declare verbal communications closed. The lone item on the consent calendar is the meetings from the previous Planning Commission meeting. Would any commissioner like to pull this item for discussion? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 14th of 2025 on the consent calendar?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll motion to second.
Roll call, please.
Chair Peña,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Escobosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Miranda de Zib.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. On to the public hearings. The only case on the agenda is a request for consideration of the conditional use permit for a recycling facility within the general commercial zone pursuant to table 153.050.020 of the city's municipal code located in 14038 Ramona Boulevard. The applicant is Joshua Laureano. We're ready for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Planning Commission. Next slide, please. Before you tonight is conditional use permit CP 25-03 to allow for the operation of a recycling center within an enclosed building located in the C2 General Commercial Zone. Next slide, please. The subject property is located at 14038 Ramona Boulevard in a commercial building west of the intersections of Larica Avenue and Ramona Boulevard. The site is rectangular in shape and contains an approximately 6,500 square foot parcel. The site is currently improved with an approximately 1,872 square foot office building at the front of the property and an accessory building to the rear, which is not a part of the project scope. Surrounding the property are other commercially zoned properties, and located directly south to the property are existing multifamily apartments and condominiums. Pursuant to Table 153050-020 of the city's municipal code, recycling facilities are conditionally permitted in the C2 zone, with the additional restriction that no more than one recycling facility can be permitted within a radius of 3,000 lineal feet and requires Planning Commission approval of a conditional use permit. A review of active business license records reveals that there are no other existing recycling facility businesses within a 3,000-foot radius of the subject property, with the closest one located at 4242 Park Avenue, which is approximately 5,000 feet from the subject property. Next slide, please. The applicant, Joshua Laureano, is proposing to use the existing tenant space as an indoor recycling facility. The applicant currently operates one recycling facility in the city of Anaheim and collectively has almost 22 years of experience in running and managing recycling facilities. Shown on the current slide is an existing site plan of the property. No major exterior alterations are proposed by the applicant at this time to the existing office building. Additionally, staff would like to bring to the commission's attention that the applicant intends to limit all services provided to be done within the walls of the existing unit, and no collection or transfer of recyclable materials will take place outside of the building. Next slide, please. Shown on the current slide is the expanded floor plan of the existing unit. As a required condition of approval, the applicant will install a floor drain system for the disposal of any liquids that may need to be discarded from the recyclable materials. Said floor drain system shall comply with all applicable health and safety codes. Likewise, as noted in the applicant's operation plan, there will be 2 full-time employees during the operating hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursdays through Tuesdays, as the facility will be closed on Wednesdays. The materials that will be collected are aluminum cans, glass, and plastic bottles. The facility will not accept any other materials and will require that the customer or client be responsible for proper disposal of unacceptable materials at a different location. However, in the event materials are improperly discarded on the property, the applicant will have separate waste bins on site, which will be properly emptied off. Properly emptied off at the end of the day by employees. Next slide, please. The current slide shows on-site photographs of the property taken by the applicant. As previously mentioned, the applicant intends to operate the facility fully within the enclosed building, which diminishes the potential noise, odor, and other impacts, especially when compared to other similar facilities that operate fully outdoors. Clients will enter the facility from the rear access door of the building, shown on the slide, wherein one of 2 on-site employees will inspect the items clients wish to recycle. Once eligible and non-eligible items are sorted and properly discarded, one employee then weighs the recyclable items on an approved scale from the California State Department of Weights and Measures. Another employee, in the interim, monitors the parking area of the facility to then direct the client's personal vehicle or mode of transportation from the facility to Ramona Boulevard. As noted in this item staff report, all interactions are supervised by on-site employees, and additional cameras will be positioned around the perimeter of the facility to provide full coverage of the exterior and interior of the recycling facility. Next slide, please. A notice of public hearing was published in the local newspaper on May 15th, 2025. Additional public notices were also mailed to property owners and occupants that live within 300 feet of the project site on the same date. To date, staff have received 1 public comment from a neighboring property owner objecting to the proposed application. No other verbal or written public comment was received. And with respect to the project's review under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, the project is categorically exempt from further environmental review, as it falls under the category of projects noted in section 15303, class 3, new construction of or conversion of small structures, of the CEQA guidelines. A notice of exemption for this project will be filed with the Los Angeles County Clerk's Office. Last slide. In conclusion, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission approve Resolution PC 25-13, approving CP 25-03. Both planning staff and the project applicant are available for any questions regarding the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, are there any questions of staff by the commission? It's just a couple questions. So, in other recycling centers within the city of Baldwin Park, have there been any issues within the neighbors? I'm sorry, I should say within the neighborhood or with code enforcement where their operations plan had to be cured or remediated for those issues?
None that come to mind. There was a recycling facility that was approved a few years back, on near the 10 freeway corridor off of Garvey and Fraser. That was the most recent one that, planning staff did process. And their conditions of approval were pretty tight. And did have clauses as far as if they deviated from their operations plan in any way, that they would have to go back to the commission for reconsideration. And that has not happened. We have
Okay.
not received any violations from code enforcement staff.
I understand that the facility will be monitored 24/7 from headquarters. Is that a requirement from the city or is that initiated by the applicant?
It's initiated by the applicant.
I saw the acronym for NPDES. Could you elaborate a little bit much more on that?
Yes, so NPDES pertains to National Pollutant Discharge and Elimination System. It's a public works term of art, which
Yeah.
basically relates to the proper drainage of any chemicals, materials that may be collected on a site and making sure that there's no toxic runoff going into our storm drain systems and similar standards. So that's usually a condition that we place on more industrial projects such as this kind, or rather projects that have a lot of paved surface area. So that's a typical condition that we impose.
Yeah, is that maintained or or at least the process is maintained on an annual basis, or is that initiated by Public Works, or is it just sort of the standard that's put upon once during this time, and we do leave it up to the applicant to ensure that they're abiding by it?
Nick, I'll have you answer
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind chiming in on that.
Thank you.
So the first time it's looked at is at this juncture. So it's definitely something we look at when a project is proposed. So there is an opportunity for the city to make sure that the facility is designed in a way that it could comply with NPDES. And so that's our first opportunity. Second opportunity is once it's actually built. So we'll have building inspectors go and verify that it's built per design, per the approved plans. And then after that, it's up to the business owner, property owner to live up to the commitment to follow through and not have any violations.
And I can add to just overall enforcement. And one example that's pretty common with a lot of commercial areas, you have trash enclosures that are supposed to have a lid.
Yes.
So a lot of times if there's a site that, let's say, loses compliance because the trash enclosure either over time wears and tears, they have to then reestablish compliance, or else code enforcement would issue them a violation, again, going against the NPDES requirements.
Great, thank you. And then another concern of mine is just sort of the traffic. My understanding is that they will be, the vehicles will be entering through the rear, is that right? And then exiting onto Ramona Boulevard?
So there's only one access point just
Okay.
by design of the site. It's through the flag portion on Ramona. We can pull the site plan up if you want to see a visual.
Yeah,
of
that would
the-
be great.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah,
wait for that.
report, the print doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, so once the presentation goes back
Sure.
up, we can walk through it.
But essentially there's only one access point, and that leads to the parking air lot located to the rear of the building. So that's where having the other employee to monitor traffic is key. And that's something that the applicant did consider when submitting their application.
So they'll be entering again through Ramona Boulevard and then of course just doing sort of a roundabout within the back lot and then exiting onto Ramona Boulevard. Is that right?
Yes, and that's just through the design of the existing
Of course.
building as it is. There's no real other way to modify it aside from major developments.
Yeah, so so prior to even just sort of the comment here from Mr. Franklin, that was a concern of mine about just sort of the congestion, certainly during school hours. I know Vallarta's also there. Church for religious services is there as well. And of course, you have the famous Jack in the Box and McDonald's, who also, I think, recently came to the commission, I believe, just to do a two-lane drive-through. So it is a very congested area, and of course it would need the perfect storm to be a gridlock or something a little bit less extreme than that. But I'm sure I can ask this to the applicant, but as far as planning ahead for that, was there supposed to be sort of some type of study or the consideration of perhaps how many customers or recyclists, if that's the word, would be coming in at every 30 minutes, every 1 hour? Are there any sort of projections on that from the side of the staff?
So the parking rate for recycling facilities is generally a lot less than what is typically office or
Sure.
retail. So that by nature already infers that there's less traffic coming to and from the property, as it would if, let's say, this was a use that's permitted by right in the zone now of retail or office. So that already doesn't necessarily warrant a full traffic study to be required. If there were deviations to, like, for example, a restaurant coming in, well, that is more traffic. So then that would require a bit more study in that regard. But in this case, just due to the parking requirements in the code, that isn't something that was needed.
So it doesn't meet sort of the threshold.
Yes.
Yeah, in other words, okay. And then as far as, I think this is, I know what the answer is, but for just sort of my sake, of course, being sort of high fire hazard and so forth, being, I'm sure close to a residential area and so forth, my assumption is that going through the planning and of course now then going to building, of course, all measures will be taken into consideration to ensure that it is up to par with the safety standards.
Yes. Generally speaking, the materials are collected at the end of the day. So there's no storage overnight, as noted in the applicant's operation plan. Aside from that, obviously the existing building has to conform to current building codes and fire safety codes. So that would be something that if once the applicant submits for tenant improvement for the changes they need to do, then that would be something that our building and safety staff would look at.
Sounds good.
I'd also like to add that the applicant's not accepting flammable materials. So it would be different perhaps if there was a cardboard recycler, but this is non-recyclable, non-flammable materials collected.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's for staff or for the applicant. I was glad to see that during operating hours, it was addressed whether or not when a customer came and dropped something off that wasn't accepted, there's a plan in place. My concern, because there are residents within the facility, what is a plan if a customer comes and drops stuff off on, let's say, Tuesday night, or because Wednesday you guys are closed? What's the remedy for the neighbors? I can see that being an eyesore if, once people realize it's a facility, recycling facility, even though they're not supposed to drop off stuff, I can see, items being dropped off that they may not accept. So what plan do we have in place if something like that were to occur?
I can have the applicant provide more of a background, but just generally speaking, there is a gate on the property. So obviously once the operations are closed, then that gate would essentially cut access to the rear portion of the property for clients or anybody that's coming in after operating hours have ceased. So that's not anticipated to be a problem. But in the event that were to happen, again, we'll have the applicant provide their response.
Furthermore, I'd like to point out some conditions of approval that staff has added. Condition F, they're required to have signs visible from the right of way that prohibit illegal dumping. And condition of approval number G requires illegally dumped items on the property or on the sidewalk immediately adjacent to the property to be collected and disposed of by the staff of the business by the end of the day, each day.
I think you brought up a really good point about sort of the eyesore. But my, again, understanding is that it would be, all of it would be in interior of the proposed building. Is that right? So
That's correct.
technically, any visitors coming to Baldwin Park, of course, the residents, us, would not be able to see stacks of, Corona bottles or something like that.
Exactly. Everything's done inside. It's just in the off chance that, let's say, you have customers that do happen to do that, then the staff there would be vigilant and essentially collect those materials.
Any additional questions?
I have a question, if I can get through it without choking. And I'm not sure if this is a question for staff or the applicant, but I'm just, first of all, it's great. I think it's fantastic that we're trying to be sustainable and recycle material. But I guess my question is, what is the plan of action if someone's trying to recycle illegal material, or I don't know if it's illegal, but like copper wiring, catalytic converters, things that encourage illegal activity?
I mean, I can respond to materials that aren't acceptable. So materials that the site isn't going to accept as recyclable materials that they would then give to customers. But in that end, there are plans and measures in place. They do have bins that are serviced by Waste Management that would handle, again, just overall disposal of any material that they cannot recycle or collect at the facility. And that's as a precautionary measure in the event that that were to pass.
And then, sorry, follow-up question, because kind of as my colleague has alluded to, I think people hear recycling and they think, well, I'm just gonna go and dump all my stuff there because they'll take care of it. I don't have to go and I don't have to call Waste Management. I don't have to coordinate with anything. But unless I'm mistaken, trash pickup is not on a daily basis.
As far as trash pickup schedules, that would be really more of a question for Waste Management as far as the frequency. And I think generally that's where planning staff would monitor and encourage the applicant to do as frequent pickups as they can. And again, it's as it comes up because obviously they're not accepting those materials on the site anyway. And there's already, as Interim Director Nick pointed out, that illegal dumping is not permitted on the site. The facility will be closed with gates after hours. So it would be rare for that to happen. But if that were to happen, then there are measures in place to mitigate that.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question about, I know there was a concern about noise. And from my understanding, all business operations are going to be taken inside. Is that correct?
That's
Is
correct.
there a condition for noise control?
As far as noise control, there's the standards in our noise ordinance. So if for whatever reason the recycling materials, the activity were to go above a certain threshold in the commercial zones, then that'd be something that code enforcement would monitor and then again actively work with the operator to mitigate. Aside from that, the other item I can point out is typically there's a lot more noise generated in these kinds of larger facilities when they have a compactor. That is not something that the applicant is proposing at this time. So that would immediately reduce any kind of noise impact from this kind of facility.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. If there was going to be any like heavy equipment that would generate, a lot more noise.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Seeing no further questions to staff, I will now declare the public hearing open. I will ask the applicant to come to the podium first and speak.
Yes, and then for IT, there are other individuals joining virtually. So we'll have the folks here present speak first, and then anybody else joining virtually, they're welcome to speak after.
Thank you. I'll have you state your name and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on
The
project.
My name is Joshua Loriano. I am been in the recycling business for 39 years. If let me clarify before I forget. The monitoring of the facility will be 24/7. Although I am closed in Wednesdays, I will have cameras to monitor the facility. Just in case that the
All right, I'm going
public-
to have you stop while the train passes by. If we can stop the clock. So. Thank you for your patience.
And
Oh,
I'll monitor it from my office. I have people to clean it up. And the hazardous material, we are only accepting CRV material, California Redemption Value, which is the majority of the customers, they know already. It's only CRV, no copper, no brass, nothing like that. And there is another question that I want to clarify. Mainly, it's business will be inside of the building in order to avoid the bad views for the public. And and cleaning up of the facility, it's even in my lease agreement with the landowner. She doesn't want overnight materials of any kind in the property. So besides the landowner condition, I am committed to clean up the materials of trash from the customers and to remove the recyclable materials both in that day, by the end of the day, at 4 o'clock.
great. Thank you. I know you still have about 1 minute and 11 seconds. Was there anything else that you wanted to address with the commission? Yes.
But I really like your city. It's a very clean and neat Hispanic city. I am planning to keep the recycling facility in accordance of the clean and neatness of the city. I really love it. It's a very unique. And I have some other facilities besides the Anaheim facility, which is close to Disneyland, also with a lot of requirements. But I've been there for 19 years, 20. I have another facilities in Hollywood and Southern Monty and the city of Cudahy, the city of Carson. And again, the same. I am aware of the concerns of the city in regards of the code enforcement law. So I just want to tell you that I am committed to comply with every single condition that the city will ask me to comply. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The other folks on were they consultants or are they wishing to speak on?
No, they're just other members of the applicant team.
Okay.
I'm not sure if their mic is muted or not. David, is there anybody else joining virtually?
There's 2 individuals in the waiting room. They both have permission to talk. You just need to ask them to unmute.
Okay, whichever of
Sure.
the two,
Well, at this point, I'll just open it up to the public to speak. And then if there's any questions to the applicant or the two consultants, we'll have them jump in.
okay.
Great, thank you. So at this point, is there anyone else wishing to address the commission on this matter? Sure. Oh, if you don't mind coming to the podium and then again, stating your name and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on this matter.
Jorge del Real. I just have 2 concerns, thinking about like the larger impact, like for social impact and environmental. Social, like there is one entrance, but you did say I've seen other recycling centers how homeless crash there or they stay overnight, or how would you stop that from happening? And in the environmental, like you did mention you will dispose or remove all recycling by the end of the day. Where is this going to? Because currently Baldwin Park does have recycling services through waste management, how would that like change, or do we need a recycling center, or like where is this going to be disposed? Because are you guys going to be burning down plastic or crashing glass? Like what like any carbon monoxide? Those are just some concerns.
All right. Thank you so much for your comments. Then anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir. If you'll have 3 minutes, if you can please state your name.
Pardon?
Oh, you'll have 3 minutes, and if you can please state your name.
Yeah. My name is Richard Williams, and I'm involved with the client. I've been working with him for about 30 years doing these places. Everything like this is to be done inside. He has another location where he takes the material, and once it gets to this location, he compresses it and does whatever, puts it on the trucks or whatever. But he has another location, so nothing like that is going to be done at this location. All he's doing is collecting it and putting it on trucks by the end of the day and taking it to the other location to do whatever else he's going to do with it. I recycle, and the thing is, I recycle simply because it's supposed to be a good idea that everyone recycles. Because I use 1 million plastic bags because I cook and I put stuff in the refrigerator, and all that stuff needs to be recycled. So he's doing a service with the recycling, and he started out doing it a different way. But this is like everything is inside. Nothing's outside. You drive up, there's parking spaces, someone outside monitoring the traffic coming in and out. And it's just, it's a grade A operation he's going to do. And it's going to enhance, we have to recycle. We have no choice. So that's all I wanted to say. But it is going to be taken away. It's going to be compacted at another location. Trucks are going to come at the end of the day, pick it up, take it somewhere, and that'll be the end of it for Baldwin Park.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this before we ask questions to the applicant? All right, seeing none. So Mr. Laureano, do you mind coming back just to the podium? We do have some questions for you and your team. So I'll open up first to the commission for questions.
I see on letter G, it does talk about the illegal dumping. Again, my concern, Wednesday, you're closed on Wednesday, and you said you had cameras. So if you were to see someone dump something illegally on Tuesday evening, would there be staff there Wednesday morning to pick it up and clean it up, even though you guys are closed?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify. I know it says about employee parking, which is not permitted in the parking lot. So the employees will not be using vehicles to commute to the business, and they won't be parking in the parking lot?
They won't bring a car or whatever inside of the parking space.
Okay. And it's only 2 employees that you will have?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this might be a question for the or you, sorry. For the staff. As far as how many parking spaces does the space have?
As
The-
far as
the
how many are existing on the site?
Yeah, on the site, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, give me 1 second. Let me get that number for you. Five.
Okay, thank you.
So first of all, I appreciate you. I know I was unaware of the other sites. I was, of course, according to the report, that you had a site in Anaheim. So I appreciate you coming to Baldwin Park and choosing us as a city. The question that I have, and I don't mean it to be loaded, I'm trying to be as careful as impartial, but in your other sites, you mentioned South El Monte, Anaheim, and so forth. I believe you also did Hollywood or that area. What are some of the typical challenges that your recycling sites experience, and then how were you able just to address those challenges?
Well, the main thing to the facilities is to buy only CRV materials. We have signs that we only accept CRV materials, and no, besides that, no dumping of anything after hours. And This is the main thing in order to keep it clean and neat also in the other sites, which I'm planning to do the same in this beautiful city.
Of course. So what I'm hearing is that, of course, the challenge of getting the recyclable materials that you do accept, but then again, addressing the ones that you can't. But of course, that's when you have a separate barrel or bin to go ahead and put those, and then you'll do the recycling, or at least you'll do the proper disposal of those, right?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things, and I'll, just for the commission, commissioners, one thing that was sort of reassurance is that there's not only sort of a plan and check from the city or code enforcement, but again, you also are having to work with a landlord or property owner of it. So it seems like there is sort of another sort of check and balance on that. So one thing that I was really concerned about was not only NPDES, the acronym, but also I did read about sort of the CARB filter as well, because your facility will be indoors. Can you tell me a little bit much more about how the CARB filter works and the maintenance behind that?
They are coming to the facility in a carpool. This is what you are asking me?
So forgive me, I believe that there is a filter that will be installed within your facility to regulate or purify the air. So if you can elaborate more about that, as well as the maintenance behind it.
Yes, of course, yes.
Can you tell me more about that? The filter?
It is a device that is going to be installed inside of the facility that it filters the air quality in order to protect the attendant and the clients, and also to the odors. Yeah.
Yes. And how will you be maintaining that filter?
Well, it has to be checked at least twice per year.
Okay.
At least.
Okay. Thank you. And then going back just to one of my original questions that I had asked for staff, again, I know that Mr. Franklin Ogon, many of us were concerned about maybe the congestion of Ramona Boulevard. How many customers do you anticipate to have per hour or per 30 minutes?
I would say one or two every 30 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe one.
Any other questions to the applicant or to the consultants of the applicant?
I just had a follow-up question regarding parking again. In the case, I know you just said that you anticipate maybe like 1 or 2 customers, like every 30 minutes or an hour at the most. But in the case that there's 5 customers in a given time, in a given moment, and they fill up the parking spaces, what would be the next plan of action if there's more customers coming in?
My
Facility.
outside attendant will control that situation and will allow to come in when we have another space available. But I wish that all the time for the business financial situation will be like that. But it'll be orderly, coming in and coming out. This is the duty of the outside attendant.
So as a result of that, then street parking would be prohibited, correct? Like the customers would not be allowed to park in the street?
It's already prohibited on that side of Ramona.
On that side. Okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Any additional questions to the applicant? Well, thank you so much for your time, sir. You may take a seat, please. So seeing that there aren't any additional questions to the applicant, I will now be declaring the public hearing closed. I will now check in with the commission to see if we'd like to deliberate further or if there is a motion for this project. So I'll motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Chair Peña,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Escobosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Miranda de Zib.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. The Planning Commission has voted to find the proposed project exempt from the environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act. Specifically, the project is categorically exempt from CEQA under section 15303, since the project is converting the existing building to a new recycling center use wherein no exterior modifications or additions are proposed. The building area, as well as the Planning Commission, has voted to adopt the resolution PC 25-13, approving CP 25-03, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park approving a conditional use permit for a recycling facility use within an enclosed building located within the general commercial zoning district pursuant to table 153.050.020 of the city's municipal code, located in 14038 Ramona Boulevard. Okay. On to the non-public hearing items.
No items from staff.
Thanks. And then are there any commission or staff, any commission communications? All right, with that in mind, if there are any further comments by the commission, I will now accept the motion for adjournment.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Chair Peña,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Escobosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Miranda de Zib.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And we have adjourned at 7:48. Good night.